Welcome back. This is another episode of OrchidxMantis Podcast, where there are no facts, only interpretations. Back again with Shiksabayul and me, and of course, the illustrious Natasha.
Well, I was wondering if you were familiar with the Pivo Questionnaire that they do on the Actors Studio, inside the Actors Studio.
Yeah, I love that thing.
I thought maybe we could kick off, just kind of getting to know you by asking you those 10 questions. Are you game?
Sure, I'm game,
Okay.
yeah.
So the first one is, what is your favorite word?
Tundra.
What is your least favorite word?
I don't know if I should say it, but I know I'll change it. Moist.
Oh gosh, I agree so 100% with that. Yes.
Me can't did.
Okay. What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
It's a classic. It's amazing. And versatile.
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
So many. Okay, I would be like a cook. I'd love to be a chef. I'd love to be like maybe a journalist or ballet dancer. Not ballet, like modern, but like full on like run that career. Yeah. Okay. Martha Graham.
Graham. Merce Cunningham.
Pina Bausch.
Ooh, Pina Bausch.
Yeah. Love to be in her company. That would be the dream, the alter dream.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about the Golden 30 project, and then also just why a house concert is
awesome,
cool and interesting, and what makes it special and unique?
Totally, yeah. Cool. So the Golden 30 was a project that I conceived when I turned 30. And I was going through like a lot of like crazy changes in my life, romantically and career-wise, and I just felt like I needed to do something big to celebrate this, honestly scary new age that I had
Saturn
arrived at.
return.
Yeah. So, the refugee crisis is something that I care a lot about, and has always been something that has touched me. And I felt, at this time, it was like the height of the Syrian refugee crisis. And I mean, as far as like it being on the news and people becoming really aware of like the severity of the situation. So, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do 30 house concerts in 30 different cities and try to raise $30,000 for the Syrian refugee crisis. And I just, and that's what I tried to do. And in the end, I got to 16 concerts in 16 different cities, and I raised over $11,000.
That's amazing.
And I felt pretty proud.
Yes.
Because it was and it was a beautiful experience, and that was.
And did you arrange all of these concerts independently yourself, or like how did you find people in each city to host you?
Yeah. So, it was all me, just behind my laptop. Some of them were friends in different cities that I went to go visit. A lot of them were So Far Sound concerts that they put me in touch with their kind of city leaders, and I let them know what I was doing, and they invited me to do some of their shows, and so that was really cool. And then, of course, like I asked them to like maybe connect me with any hosts that they had done shows at previously before who might be interested in hosting me and inviting their friends and things like that. So a couple of them were that. And so it was really cool meeting all these people in different cities who you don't know. They're essentially strangers, and they're open enough and willing to like invite you in and throw this concert and care about this cause. And so many good people out there. The world is full of them. if there's anything I learned, that's what I learned.
Yeah,
So.
that's super heartening.
Yeah.
And do you just kind of show up and play, or is there kind of like socializing, or is there food, or is every situation a little bit different?
Yeah, they're all different. It depended on the host, you know. Like So Far Sounds usually is always the same. You know, people show up and then I played and there's always usually 2 other artists who played and so they kind of, you know, if you've ever been to So Far Sounds, they're all pretty similar no matter what city you go to. Some of them, like I did a concert in Mexico City with my friend Anna, and she invited all her friends, and one of her friends was a chef, and he went to the market that morning and got all these crazy mushrooms from the market.
I saw your photos of those. Yeah.
And a friend brought some cacao, and everyone just kind of hung out. I did the concert, and then we just danced all night in her living room. So that was cool.
In all your Golden 30 performances, you performed solo. Mm-hmm. And I watched all of the videos that you had on all those performances, and I was just wondering, like, all of your music that you performed strikes me as like very vulnerable. Like maybe you're not naming names, you're not, you know, maybe someone can infer their own meaning from what you're singing about, but I think, you know, just inherently performance is a vulnerable act. And do you ever feel nervous or exposed or, you know, shy about just kind of going for it, especially when you're performing by yourself?
I have felt like that when I don't feel prepared, you know. But on that tour, there's an element of nervousness maybe when you don't know the audience and you don't know how they'll react. But the minute you finish your first song, and then you feel the warmth and the response, and I felt confident, like, okay, it's okay. People are enjoying this. I'm going to continue.
Yes.
And after a while, like, it was so therapeutic to, like, do the show that I had conceived and, like, prepared. And it was emotional, like, a lot of it. But it was yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I'd be interested to hear, the Natula approach to songwriting. I need to ask you to expose yourself.
No, it's all good. Yeah.
In front of all of
I'm usually driving to work, and I'm just singing and I'm making voice memos. That's usually where the songs start.
That's great.
I'm just like record.
So it's like a melodic place, not necessarily a lyric place, or does
melodic? Yeah.
Okay.
Usually I need the lyrics to like start to sing something, and then I'll start. You know, I'll have like a line in my head, and then like that one song South that I have. Like I remember the day I wrote that. I was like leaving a student's house. It was like 8 p.m. and I was like driving, and it was like in the middle of winter, and I was like, where do I go when it gets... And I was thinking about Dirty Projectors, and I was like thinking of like Tune Yards, and like at the time these like bands I was obsessed with, and I was like thinking about their melodies and how I could, how I was being inspired by them, you know, and the way they write their melodies, and they seem to like go against what you would naturally maybe do with like words and like syllables, and I really love that about them. So yeah, I just made that voice memo, and then I got home and on the keyboard and just figured out the rest.
Cool.
But yeah, so that's how they all start. Driving, voice memo.
So your car is kind of your muse a little bit.
Yeah, because it's like, actually, I love driving because it like forces me not to like look at my stupid phone.
Sure.
Or like be distracted by all these things. Like I only have the option to like look forward and think about stuff. I mean, if you're not listening to stuff, and sometimes I am, but yeah, so it's an opportunity to like, yeah, it's nice.
Cool.
Force, you know.
The modern pilgrimage.
The modern songwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, we were discussing on our last podcast about like the types of questions. We were all talking about questions that sort of tend to make your brain shut down. You know, like it's, you know, that it's a question about you. It's a question about your work. But like for some reason, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I was thinking about a way to ask you, or instead of us describing your sound or trying to compare it to something else to give people like a reference point, could you do that for us? Like what is the Natula genre? What is the sound to you? and what are the inspirations and influences, if anything?
Yeah.
And they don't have to be musical.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. I like to describe the Natula project as romance and dystopia. I'm obsessed with like romance in general and things that are like even uber romantic and ultra romantic, and making that come alive in the sounds that I use, and also just like the lyrics. And speaking on lyrics, like the idea of home is something that really inspires me, and what that means, and how complex that is, and how painful that can be, and how comforting it can be, and like all the many different feelings of home, and especially now, like how people even identify home. Is it a place? Is it a thing, a feeling, a sound? You know, it's so complex and very different. People aren't staying in the same town they grew up in anymore.
Right.
You know, everyone, you know, so I'm sure all of us, not just me, have complex ideas of home. Like home is many things, you know?
Yes.
And so that inspires me a lot with this project. And more recently, I've been really into nostalgia and like creating sounds and songs that are of a different time in the past.
I love that.
Do you have any Canadian folk tunes that you'd like to share with us? A short day.
Do you have an ukulele in this joint? No.
Don't.
All right, that's
I
fine.
don't.
That's fine.
Surprisingly.
Okay, sure. I got you. This one's gonna be I need your voices. You guys down?
Okay,
right,
we're down.
Okay. Let me think about this for a second. Maybe actually you can do some body percussion,
Okay.
right? Okay. So just repeat after me.
All right.
I don't want no chip up potato.
I don't want to chip up potato.
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 I don't want no chip up potato.
I don't want to chip up potato.
Give me my dumpling whole.
Give me my dumpling whole. Oh.
Like whole. That's it. Okay. So
Like in its entirety, right?
yes,
Not like
yes.
Okay. Not like donut hole.
No. Like give me my dumpling. WHOLE.
Got
okay,
it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna sing you the melody, and then so it goes like this. I don't want no chip up potato, chip up potato, chip up potato. I don't want no chip up potato. Give me my dumpling whole. Right?
Okay.
And then the next one's gonna be cassava, grated cassava.
I don't want no grated cassava.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then the third verse is grated banana.
Grated banana.
And then the next one is all them girls can dance merengue.
All them girls can dance merengue.
Dance merengue,
Okay.
dance, and I can dance it too.
Okay.
All right, so you guys ready?
We're ready.
We're ready.
All right. I don't want no chip up potato, chip up potato, chip up potato. I don't want no chip up potato, give me my dumpling whole. I don't want no grated cassava, grated cassava, grated cassava. I don't want no grated cassava, give me my dumpling whole. I don't want no grated banana, grated banana, grated banana. I don't want no grated banana, give me my dumpling whole. All them girls can dance merengue, dance merengue, dance merengue. All them girls can dance merengue. I can dance it too. There you go. That's by Miss Julia Hides, who
Oh.
was the only female drummer in the history of Canadian folk music. She lived to be 106 years old. And she's a hero.
Question.
Oh! You already did your research. Oh my gosh.
That was going to be my next question. Six research by Yule.
This is the best interview you've ever done.
Well, and I it was so funny because I was researching her because you got some kind of an award and it had her picture on it. Had her face on it. So then I was researching that, which led me to a video which you had taken
Yes.
of her
Nice one.
at age 100 playing.
Cardio Ghana, Cuba.
So amazing. Really,
Yeah.
really cool. So for our viewing/listening audience, could you answer the question, who is Miss Julia Hides?
Yes. Miss Julia Hides is one of our legendary folk musicians, heroes of our folk music culture in Cayman. And she's now passed away, but she, like I said, she was she was the only female drummer in the history of Caymanian folk music, because Caymanian folk music is, if you've never heard it, it's a lot like mento, like Jamaican mento. And so there's a lot of like, there's a fiddle. This is like the king instrument. And you got like guitar. And then you have a lot of, they called it kitchen band music, because there's like the grater, which is like a big percussion instrument. And often these kind of music and dances would happen in the kitchen, which was like a separate building, you know, from the main house where everyone slept. So she, you know, most of the women at this time would just play, dance and sing, you know. And it was mainly the men who would be like the drummers and the fiddle players and stuff. But she was like 15, and her cousin was a famous fiddler at the time on the island. And she was like, Duxie, make me a drum. I'm going to play it. And he's like, you can't play it, Julia. And she's like, yes, I can. And he made her a drum out of like an oil pan with a goat skin hide. She specifically asked for the she hide and sticks out of the guava tree. And the way she plays it is like, you know, between her legs. And she put a little piece of metal bar on it, so it created that other sound.
I was wondering about that. Yeah. Okay.
And she became the most popular drummer in the whole island, you know, and it was a way for her to support her family. She was a single mother with 5 kids.
Wow.
And she lived to be 106. So when I met her, she was 100. And I was doing my undergrad ethnomusicology thesis on her. So I was like getting deep.
Yes.
And so I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to interview her and make that video. And she wrote so many songs that are the songs of our folk music, like Chip Up Potato that we just sang.
When I hear
so
that
many.
song and then hearing about Miss Hyde, and like just like hearing the kitchen come alive.
Oh yeah,
During that song.
yeah.
And just to hear like the music and everything, and like
she
every
was
part
amazing.
Of, your daily going ons, and that's something. That's
Yeah.
a piece.
She was so brilliant and like so strong and just like such a humble woman too. And that song that she that is in that video, Cardiel Gone to Cuba, is actually about her husband, Cardiel, who left her when she was 25 with 5 kids to raise. And this song is really interesting because it's actually a very romantic song, you know, about how he's going to Cuba to like trade to bring her back a wedding dress and bring her back babyhood. And then another verse that I don't teach the kids is how Aunt Sue finds him in bed the next morning when he returns and things like that. You know, it's like a really beautiful romantic song. And but it's behind the scenes, the BTS behind the song is actually really dark, you know?
Yeah.
And just really quickly, the last memory that I have of her was at Heroes Day. They were celebrating heroes of culture. And so a lot of people were getting awards. She was one of them, one of the pioneers. She was getting a pioneer award. I was getting an emerging pioneer award for my work on her. And she was maybe like 102 at this time, 103, I don't know. And she was just sitting there, and it felt like the whole island was there. Like all these people in the square. The governor was there, all these people from government. And the Cayman Folk Choir came in the center of the square and started singing that song, which was like... And I don't know if she was quite aware where the sound was coming from, but I looked over her and she was just tapping along and singing along. And I was like, wow, it's such a beautiful moment. Her whole country is here celebrating her and singing this song, which was born from pain, back at her. And I just sat there just like crying, just like, oh my God. And I looked over at Mr. Matu, Henry Matu, who's the director of the Cultural Foundation, who is was one of her biggest supporters and like, responsible for, you know, getting her so well known and getting her music, you know, documented. I looked over at him and we like both shared like this smile, just like, wow, this is special. So
That's really cool.
Julia Hydes is I have a room dedicated to her in my school, Calabash, the Julia Hydes room.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is a little bit maybe, what's the opposite of premature? I don't know. We should have asked you this way long ago. In terms of your origin story, you describe yourself as third culture. Mm-hmm. And I know that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but what does it mean to you to be a third culture kid?
Yeah. It means that I didn't grow up with a single cultural identity, and like grew up in a home. I grew up in the Cayman Islands. My mom's from Cayman, and my dad's Lebanese, and so there was like already this. And then I'm living here, you know. So it's like, and I grew up in in my young adult life, like living in different places. And so it's just this complex identity of what home means, that it's not one thing, that it's a multicultural thing. And so, yeah, this third culture is kind of just, it's a term that I discovered when I was really grappling with who I was and where I was from. And my friend brought this term up. He was like, "You're a third culture kid, so am I. I'm Lebanese and I grew up in London, I like identify with being British, but I also identify with being Lebanese."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I get that. That's so complex. It's so hard to answer. Where's home? It's like, well, how long do you have? Because it's like, so that was like when I found this term and I started researching that there was like, well, a lot of people can identify with being third culture kids. I was like, yay, I found like my crew. You guys get it,
Yeah.
So, especially in America, geez, I'm sure there's tons of people who can identify with being third culture kids.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned a UK tour. And I know that you guys were doing a tour with your group, Baby Bushka. And you are the boss Bush.
The boss Bush.
The CEO of Bushka Enterprises. And sort of how did the spark of the germ of this idea come into your head and become what it is now, which is a group that sells out the Casbah like that and goes on tour in the UK and etc.
Well, it's all Kate Bush. That's why we sell out. Like, it was truly, it's all because of Kate. But so yeah, I like a year ago, because we've only been a band for about a year, a little more than a year, and so like,
that's kind of shocking.
It is. I'm amazed how much we've accomplished already. I'm so proud of us. But like 6 months before, I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but I had never listened all the way through a Kate Bush song. 6 months before Baby Bushka became a band.
No shame at all, because I'm not as familiar with her as I maybe should be, but I realize that there are many people my age who resonate like very strongly with her. So I want to ask you about that later, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, so I was like, I had heard of her, of course, and also people have compared me to her, like that I've met along the way of the Natula Road. People have been like, oh, you remind me of Kate Bush. And I'll be like, oh, cool. I don't really know who that is, but I'll check it out. And then one day I finally did after someone said it again.
Yeah.
And so I went that night on YouTube and I watched like 2 hours worth of her videos. I was just like, I fell deep into the Kate Bush hole. And then I just was kind of obsessed from then. And I was like really into, I was listening a lot. I was like, wow, this is cool. And my friend got into her and we had started this Kate Bush fan club as a joke, it was just like two people, and we like watched Wuthering Heights videos and things like that. But then, and so I was like in my car, just like listening to Kate, and I'm just like, God, it'd be cool to like cover her at a show or something next time I play. And I was like, oh, actually it'd be cool to just do a whole, this is the car thing.
Yes.
This is the car gets the ideas. And I was like, oh, actually it'd be cool to do a whole night of her music. And I was like, maybe that would be like a cool dance party idea. And I was like, who am I going to have to play it? And then I was thinking of like just defaulting to people I usually play with, and I was like, no. It's going to be all women. And then by the time I got to my work, I had decided who was going to be in it. And I had decided who was going to be at the Casbah in December. And I emailed everyone. And by the end of the day, 24 hours later, everyone had said yes, except for Nina. Because I actually didn't know Nina.
Oh.
I knew Leah, the drummer. I was like, Leah, do you know a keyboard player? And she's like, yeah, hit up Nina. She's badass. And I was like, okay, cool. And I emailed her and I think there was a little, I knew she was going to say yes. I don't think you even knew what you said yes to. I feel like no one knew what they said yes to until the first rehearsal.
You should do this. And then Phil's like, you haven't met Natasha yet? Dr. Phil, who's Leah's husband.
Yeah.
She was like, I can't believe you don't know Natasha yet. And then we found out that we were born a week apart. And
we're like twins. Yeah. Yeah, spiritual twins. But yeah, that was it. Like everyone said yes. We like had this date, and I didn't think we were gonna be a band. I was just thinking about this one night. I was like, let's make this cool night happen. And then everyone was like, why are you making us learn 15 songs? This stuff is so hard, And I had like choreographed dance moves. I mean, it was the early beginnings of what you see now as a show. It was a pretty complete idea. And
you called it, I think it's really interesting. You called it Kate Bush Dance Party.
With like, Baby Bushka, yeah.
With Baby Bushka. And nowadays, if you see something build like a dance party, it's like, oh, like, I don't want to knock anything, but it's definitely not what
Right. It's
they
more
were
of a show.
expecting when everybody went and saw like, you know, the choreographed jumpsuits at least
Yeah.
the choreographed jumpsuits.
I mean, I think we're all overwhelmed after that first night, and everyone in the band was like, "I get it, we get it." Like what this was all about, and what it all like seeing the show come together, and the response from the audience. We're like, "Well, we have to do it again. This is it. We're a band now, and we're gonna continue." So
Cool.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
I was poking around on the ilovebabybushka.com and I noticed a video where it looks like you guys are in a pub, maybe. I can't really tell.
yeah.
It's just like very crowded and like a spontaneous performance erupts.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
We were in Edinburgh. It was our night off. We had just had dinner with Fancy Bush's parents who had met us in Scotland.
Oh,
on tour.
quickly, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
could you please tell us the names of all the bushes?
Yes. So I'm Boss Bush. This is Dark Bush. Nina's Dark Bush. We have Heavy Bush, the drummer, Buffalo Bush, Mighty Bush, bass player, and then Bad Bush on violin. And then the two girls that dance with me up front are Fancy Bush and Hella Bush.
Hella Bush.
Yeah, I think I got all 8. I always have to count us.
Sure,
I'm just like,
yeah. That's a
when
lot
we're
of
all
people.
in a room on tour, I'm just like, I'm missing one.
Bad
Bad Bush.
Yep. Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we were on our night off. We just finished dinner. I had researched like a live music pubs where they had like, you know, traditional sessions. So we found this one. We walked in, and it was so crazy cool because you'd think that it would still be a little noisy, you know, even if there's like music at a bar.
Yeah.
This place, you could hear a pin drop. People were there drinking beers and ales, and there was like these musicians sitting down. Everyone was like looking at it. It was like a house concert at this bar.
What I feel is in at least San Diego,
Yes.
you hear like these stories of an Irish session, and you hear that like, you know, it's like a good old boys club, and it's like good luck if you think you're gonna get in there. These guys have been playing for 30 years, and immediately, I mean, I hate to say that, like, you know, the term of 8 young lasses in Ireland might have something to do with it, but
Scotland. We're in Scotland.
Oh, in Edinburgh.
Edinburh, yeah.
Pardon me.
It's all good. It's all good.
Edit.
Edit. Cut.
Scotland. Oh, we also were in Ireland, and we played there too, no?
No.
Oh, that was mean. Okay, sorry. All right. So, anyways, they like, I don't know. We turned around in the middle of the song, and I think, you know, Leah was holding a drum somehow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know how that happened, but they were just like, oh no, these chicks like mean it. Like, this
Yeah.
is some real stuff.
Yes.
I mean, it was like
We're
this
not
couple
joking around.
dudes, and we're like, hey, do you mind if we play a song? You know, and Obati was already kind of jamming with them on violin.
Ah, okay.
And they were like, do you mind if we
Not
play?
on
And there
her
was a piano.
on her instrument,
On
or
her
they
instrument.
had. Okay,
She had brought it. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was a piano there, so we're like, yeah, let's play a song. And so it just started off with like Nina and then me and like the, you know, girls singing, and then like Batia was on violin, and then Mighty Bush, like the guy had a bass, like acoustic bass, so she started playing that. And then like on the second chorus, like Leah somehow found some conga drums up at the top of like the bar,
Yes,
and like
I
brought those
noticed that.
down, and it was beautiful. It was that was like one of my favorite memories.
It's really cool that was captured on video.
Yeah,
So
and we
it's-
kind of just took over the rest of the night, just playing
Yeah.
songs.
Oh,
We
you
played like
did?
3 more songs after that, and Nina sang, and Sean sang like a sacred harp tune, and
Cool.
it was funny. The guy was like, "All right, can you guys leave now?" I was like,
No, that was really neat.
Yeah.
Recorders for our iPhones? We can't-
I really enjoyed watching that.
yeah.
Who makes decisions, final call on staging and costuming, makeup, hair, all the sort of like visual accoutrement of your show?
So I decide what people wear. I tell people what to wear, and I find the jumpsuits for everyone. What people do with their hair and makeup, they can do that themselves. I don't tell anyone how to do their hair or makeup, but the visual part of the show is a very important part for me. It's not just about the music. It's about how, because Kate was visual.
Sure.
You know, and she was like, a lot of the dance moves are inspired by her music videos and her dances, and also just like the way I wanted us to be portrayed as a band was important to me. Like I wanted us to be sexy, but I didn't want us to be like tons of cleavage
Overt.
everywhere
Yeah.
and like, you know, like booty shorts and stuff like that. Like I want us to be in like these beautiful long sleeve jumpsuits, and it started off really just me figuring out what the 3 of us in the front were going to wear. And the rest of them, I just said, solid colors. You know, like romance book colors, like reds and pinks and purples and blacks.
Saturated.
Yeah. Like no pattern, you know, no denim, you know.
Right.
Here's some pictures. Yeah, finding like not just what people are going to wear, but also the songs, because everyone sings a lead on a song, right?
Okay.
Not just me. So like everyone at some point, even the drummer, after like a couple shows, she's like, I want to sing a song. I'm like, okay, let me think about that. I got the song for you, you know, because that's what's cool about Kate. She's so versatile. Like she has so many personalities and so many like different versions of herself that it really fits well to have more than one person sing it. Because even sometimes I feel like I don't have the chops to sing some of these songs. I know that Nina would sing that song better than me. And I know Buffalo Bush is going to kill that song. And this one's perfect for Lexi. And like, it just kind of is great that Kate has provided that material that can like fill all these like bushy shoes.
What have you been into lyrically by Kate?
She's got this new single. No, I mean, it's not as new for me. It's from her Red Shoes album. And I never really it's so cool because there's still more albums for me to dive into. You know, It's like so much material that I can't process it all so quickly, you know. So Baby Bushka started off with like, you know, her first album, The Cake Inside, all the way to like The Sensual World, which is her track. We do one track from that. And then Nothing After, you know. But now Act 2 is kind of taking on more of the sensual world and also the Red Shoes, which is her 93 album. I think 93. There's a song on this, is like the only song she curses in. And it's so R&B. This song is so cool. And I just like, also the whole material of the new songs that we've added feels like a different maturity in womanhood and like arrival to something different and new and complete in some way, you know. It's like really cool to see her as she matures as an artist, and then we can start to take on some of that and mature as a band. That's so fun. Yeah.
Very cool.
Did you want to actually sing it, or are we gonna
No,
leave it
I
surprise?
was just wondering about the Sea Cake song. That was all. Was that the
James Joyce, yeah, The Central World. I mean, she's like a lyricist that just pulls and pulls and pulls from all these resources, like books and movies, and like, I mean, Hounds of Love. I mean, not Hounds of Love. Which song is it that's inspired from The Shining? You know, that the movie The Shining, and like she's like into horror films and like, and it's like so funny how she just like boom, she's gonna quote it right there in verse 2, like in quotation straight from the book. You know, it's like wow, that's bold, that's cool.
That's very
Song
great.
of Solomon.
Yep. Bible, biblical. Biblical, lustrous romance. I'm like, whoa, this is from the Bible?
Yes. Song of Solomon
Hot.
is hot. Real hot.
Yeah, so that's the song I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
cool.
Act 2, Baby Bushka, Song of Solomon vibes.
Nice.
It's going to be cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I have a bunch of more questions sort of in this Baby Bushka universe, but I guess I'll start with like how important is it for a group of any size, but especially of that size, to have sort of clearly defined roles and ultimately like a centrally defined leader, like strong leadership? How important is that? And do you think that kind of the success of a group sort of hinges on something like that, having one sort of central
I
deciding voice?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think especially when you have a eight woman band, you know, and it just makes things easy for everyone, you know, because I think having just someone who has a very clear idea makes people feel secure and safe, and then they can trust that. And I try to be anyway the kind of boss bush that is always open to people's ideas, and so I feel like people feel that they can collaborate and they can still provide input and ideas,
still an artistic
and
environment.
Yeah, it's still a creative artistic environment. It's not me telling everyone what to do, but you know, to give the guidance and leadership that can take people to, you know, to inspire people to get to certain places and kind of direct it all. Yeah, I think it's necessary for sure. Yeah. And also, I mean, I feel obliged that I have to do it because it's essentially like my creation,
Sure,
you know,
your
and
brainchild.
and the vision that I have of like what is possible for us and what we can do and the time that it takes to pull that stuff off, you know. Yeah, it's my pleasure to do it. Yeah.
I didn't get that far in my research, but even like on a project like Carrot Cake or
I
I don't know, they're just or your video for Iceland, like there's always, not always, but often an element of humor. And is that a conscious decision? Is that just, something that bubbles forth because of who you are as a person? And do you think it's possible to be taken seriously as an artist and still kind of have that fun side, maybe even poking fun at yourself at times?
Yeah. No, this is a good question, because this is definitely something that has developed as I've developed as an artist. The feeling that I can not take myself so seriously. When I was younger and I was making music, I would never make a video like that. It'd be like me, and I'd be like, and I'd be like trying to look all cool all the time. As like I've grown and I've felt more confident in what I do, as also I feel I do have like the super goofy side, and like letting that, I just have more fun and not to take the art and the music and the videos so seriously, and to like try to just find the joy in them. And for me, that's like that humor, that element of humor. And I think, some of my favorite artists do that too. Like Kate is famous for that. From the beginning, she was doing that, making fun and making fun of herself and like being super quirky and goofy, and like artists that do that in subtle ways is like in something, especially in a serious space, that like I think it's cool, really cool.
Yeah, I really like it.
And hopefully people appreciate it. I don't know if sometimes I think people don't think it's as funny as I do, but I don't care.
Yeah. We get that all the time. We're like, oh, we're our biggest fucking fans. Like we watch our videos all the time.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. I think it's great. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. I also wanted to ask you about
the darkness of your humor. It's badass.
Thanks.
Thanks for making this mortal coil a little bit more inhabitable.
You got to. You got to laugh.
Well, I mean, as you can see, I have many questions, but I think I'll just ask you one more. Again, kind of rewinding way back, I'm very curious about your, like, if you have an early memory of like a formative musical experience, or even just what kind of attracted you to music. Has it been something since you were very young that you've been into, did you have formal training? Did someone in your family give you training?
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Yeah. So my parents are not musical. They're visual artists. And, but I, like, since I was little, like, loved music. And my parents saw that, and I was lucky enough to have parents who really, like, tried to encourage me and, like, give me lessons when I was young. And even though they were, like, poor out of college kids, they, like, made sure that I had that. So that was really nice. And, when I was 7, I started classical piano until I was, like, 18. So that was, like, my main instrument. And then, of course, in high school, I joined the band. I learned some sax and, like, some other things. But that was it for me. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was always loved it. They say that I was like 2 years old watching that movie Amadeus, like on repeat, just like loving it, and like Sound of Music. Those were my 2 favorite films.
Interesting.
Like from the ages of 2 to 5. I don't remember. I mean, I remember a little bit, but they thought it was pretty funny. So
those were your obsessions.
Yeah.
The rest of the bushes still have dreams of Natasha pulling out her saxophone at some point.
Oh. I think
that will never happen.
I think,
but I do want a guitar.
Ooh, that would be cool.
That's what I want.
That would be very cool.
That's what I dream about, pulling out on Baby Bushka stage.
Ooh, yes.
But those things are
expensive. See it. Yeah. So. I can definitely see it, though. That would fit with the aesthetic, everything.
Right? I know. I used to hate the 80s. I love the 80s now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Well,
are
you going to do our sign-off?
This has been OrchidxMantis against the gods themselves. Oh no, shit. Amen.
Take 2.
Against stupidity, the gods themselves contend in vain. This has been OrchidxMantis with Natasha Kozaily, by all other names. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys.
Don't you ever call me, unless it's after 2. All your homies want me, and your homies want me. Don't you ever ever call me. Don't you ever call me. All your homies want me, and the ladies too. Don't you ever call me, and the ladies too. Don't you ever call me, and the ladies too. Don't you ever call me. It's 2 in the morning. Well, your pager best be on. When it's 2 in the morning. Well, your pager best be on. When it's 2 in the morning. Well, your pager best be on. When it's 2 in the morning. Well, your pager best be on. Best be on. Best be on. Best be on. All those gloomy things that bitches think at the time. You know I take no trick with tricky hoes. I like it when those double D's be bounding at me, like just misters that activated clothes. She asked me if I'd take her for a ride. I promised her I wouldn't take it slow. She asked me why good things they make her cry. I shrugged my shoulders 'cause God let me know.
Julia Hydes, who
Oh.
was the only female drummer in the history of Canadian folk music. She lived to be 106 years old. And she's a hero. Oh!